me the mic. Give me the mic. Cause they ain't kicking it right.
Can't get copyrighted, man. That's that new Lupe, man. I'm really digging it, though. But, good morning. Good morning. Hope everybody's morning is going well. Do a quick video. It's raining. It's pouring. The old man is snoring. No, it's, so, you know, the weather's a little, you know, crappy today. But, you know, it's all good. It is what it is. So, as I was driving, you know, I see a group of kids. And there's a huge puddle. Huge puddle. And it's about 5 kids or so. So, you know, first kid, he stops, he looks down, gauges the puddle, walks around it. Next kid stops, looks at the puddle, attempts to jump it. Doesn't make it. Is what it is. Next kid just straight jumps. Just go. just goes for it. Just jumps. He makes it. Kid after that goes for it, jumps, didn't make it. Kid after that walks around. Right? So I look at this and way my mind is working, you know, like I try to put this into perspective when it comes to life and people. Those kids represent people. Obviously, they're people. I should say, those kids and their behaviors represent different types of people in life. There are those that approach a situation, approach a problem, approach just something, gauge it, try to understand it, and make a decision on the best way to approach it. Some people decide. The first 2 kids, you know, they both did that. They both approached the situation in the puddle. And they was like, okay. First kid said, okay, I'm going to walk around this. You know, I'm going to just, you know, bypass this altogether, not deal with it. Second kid said, you know what? I'm going to attack this. I'm just going to go ahead and just I'm going to risk it. I'm going to just go try to jump this thing. Didn't make it, you know. Then there are those that just approach a situation and don't even think. Just go. Boom. Just go for it. Some make out. Others land in the puddle. Then there are those that see those that run the risk of approaching it and not thinking about it and decide, you know, let me just take the other way. Let me just go the route that I'm not going to get wet in and just go around. So you see that those kids really represented the different type of people. There are those that see the risks in life and decide to take the risks. There are those that see the risk, see the situation, and those decide to go around it. You know, don't want to deal with the risk. Would rather take the long way, you know, instead of, you know, running the risk of getting wet, running the risk of losing money, running the risk of, you know, not getting that job, or, you know, going for that promotion and you know, whatever, you know, whatever you can possibly think of. You know, those kids, that puddle represent the different type of people that, you know, that are in this world. And I believe that, you know, it doesn't necessarily matter what type of person you are, because yeah, you could be that person that walks up to a problem, to the puddle, gauge it, and decide to walk around it. You can be that person. There's nothing wrong with that. You can be that person that walks up to it and say, hey, I'm going to take this risk. And, you know, sometimes you get wet. Sometimes you don't, because some of the, you know, a few of those kids didn't get wet. They made it. They made it across. You know, there are those that don't even think about it and just go for it. You know, I think that's the least responsible one. But sometimes it works out, because as I had just explained, one of the kids made it that did that. They didn't think about it. They just went for it. And they made it across the puddle and didn't get wet. And one of the kids didn't make it. So I do think that those two are the least responsible, because they didn't even like gauge it. But sometimes it works out in your favor. And that's life. That's life in general. So I think each and every one of those kids represent a type of person. And each and every one of those kids held an advantage. You know, somehow I think every type of person hold some type of advantage, regardless of whatever type person you are. Because those that do decide to take risks, yeah, you know, the probability of them losing out and stuff like that may be higher, but at the same time, you just never know. You know, that risk could be well worth it. And even those that decide to take the long way, I think that there are advantages to that as well. You know, because along the way, I believe if you do decide to take the long way, and now I'm referencing life, not the puddle and stuff like that, just using that as an analogy and stuff like that. I did see kids, so don't think I just made this whole story up. I did see kids jump in the puddle. This is just how weird my mind is, and it works like that. I think there are advantages to walking around and to taking the long way and to being, because I think that helps you develop patience. I think that helps you develop skill sets along the way. So when you do reach the other side of that puddle, when you do reach the other side of whatever it is that you know you're gonna get to, you have learned things along the way that's gonna help you, you know, succeed in wherever you're going to end up at, and or supersede it, even go further. You think you're gonna get to, you know, level 5. When you go around that puddle, you know, you decide not to go this route and you go around the puddle, you get to level 5. But, you know, along the way, you learn more skills. So you supersede level 5 and now you're at level 30. You see what I'm saying? But then there are those that, you know, that run that risk, and they, you know, they go, they gamble, they run risk, they take their money, put it all on black or whatever like that. And sometimes it pans out for them. Sometimes it pans out. You know, you run the risk of, you know, however it is that you can reach to level 5, and you know, you run the risk and the risk pays off and you end up jumping to level 30 anyway in a quicker amount of time. Or, you know, you run the risk of not and staying where you're at, or even losing. So that's the thing about, you know, the type of person that you need to figure out what type of person you are. Oh, and by the way, even though, you know, even though the way I explained this, I made it seem like the person that goes the long way always wins. That's not the case. That's not. I mean, there is a certain amount of risk that you do take when you do go the long way, because the person that jumps, you know, they figure out right away whether or not, you know, they fail or not. The person that goes a long way, sucks if you go the long way, you take 6 months to do something, to train, or this, to that, or whatever like that, just to come and find out you're not going to get that promotion. You're not going to get that house, the money that you invested in this company, bit by bit, instead of just going for it, or you know, just pieces here and there, and you end up losing it all. So, you know, let me kind of rephrase that. So there's always a risk factor involved, regardless of what type of person you are. I just think that, you know, whether or not you're that person that goes for it right away or goes around and stuff, you know, that you need to learn the advantages of each one of those personalities, each one of those type of traits, because each one of those do hold certain disadvantages and advantages. And as a person, you know, you need to figure out what those are. And as a person, you need to figure out what type of person you are. Okay? So that's my story. Hope everybody has a good day. Peace, blessings, all that good stuff. And take it easy. Have a good one.